white dudes were getting jumped on as soon as they come out to shoot at DU, or like, you know, you had to be careful because like they was like them black dudes were serious and they were coming at DU and they was trying to hurt people.
Several inmates had their faces blocked. They did throw out rolls of toilet paper that were on fire at one point. They did brandish homemade weapons. We called them shanks, piece of metal chopping tool.
Is from
Jason Noble.
This call will be recorded and subject to monitoring at any time.
What's going on, guys? As you can see, I'm out here in front of Dover Variety Store. This is right here on Dover Street where I just talked to Eric, who we just met. Already somebody who knew Noble's family, and as you can see, this is a tight-knit neighborhood. Like, that was the first person I saw, first person I asked. He knew him right away, right? We're gonna hit some more places and see if we can talk to some of the locals and see what's up with them and, you know, what their views are on addiction and crime in their city. And, you know, if they knew Jason and how he was growing up. But I think that we'll just take a little bit of a walk down this street real quick. And
you may begin speaking now.
I got a list of questions, and I was just going to go through the questions. And if you want, you just answer them as best as you can, and we'll just move to the next question. My first question will be just, what was growing up in Fall River like for you? Was there like a moment where you felt like the streets became your home more than your house?
The truth is we were just all friends. We had a bunch of cool friends, you know, Dover Street where we grew up. It was just a neighborhood, and it was just like we all grew up together. So it wasn't more, it's like a family, man. Like, everybody was for everybody was cool with everybody, you know, everybody knew each other's parents. Our moms talked to each other, you know. My mom used to, you know, make clothes with, you know, Johnny Boris's mom, you know, for school for us. You know, it was like, it was just all in the neighborhood, and it was just like where we grew up, you know what I mean? So, like, it was never more or less like the streets or nothing. We were just all, you know, like kids trying to figure out who we were at that time, growing up, trying to be, you know, whatever we were trying to be.
45 now. You know, I'm grateful I'm still living, man, because, you know, there's plenty of times I almost lost my life. Right. So I'm grateful that I'm here and I'm doing good. I'm glad that you're doing this for him.
Hell
That's
yeah.
awesome.
Yeah, appreciate it, bro. So what was the first time you got locked up, and like, what did that do to your mindset?
Well, the truth is, I honestly feel like that was like the turning point in my growing up. Like, it took me for a long time. I was getting in a lot of trouble as a kid, and it took me a long time before they finally locked me up. But when they did, I was like 13, 12, or maybe even younger. I just remember from that point on, I accepted it was part of who I was. You know, it was more like, it wasn't like, I never really told myself like, oh, no, I don't want to do this no more and all these things. I mean, I might have said it on the surface, but deep down inside in my heart, I always felt like that was just the road I was on, the story of who I was, and it was part of it. Because, you know, I grew up around, you know, my uncles and these other people who done time, and so I've always heard about people doing time and doing it right, and, you know, not snitching and being, you know, part of that life. So it was always glorified in that way. So it was more or less, I figured it to be who I was, and it was just part of my staple and who I was going to be, you know.
Hey, what's good, guys? I'm out here in front of the Fall River Superior Courthouse. I myself have actually gotten sentenced out of this courthouse twice. I went to Dartmouth County House Correction from the Fall River Superior Courthouse, which is up there on one of those top floors, right? And one of the things about this courthouse is that when you're getting sentenced in Superior Court, which is for, you know, when you go upstate, if you have Superior Court probation, you look out that window, those big windows. And what you can see from that window is the Braga Bridge. You see the beautiful scenery that we just watched from the ground floor, but you can see it over top. Like, you can see the bridge from like a sky view, and it's so beautiful. And I remember standing there and I'm looking out the window at this beautiful bridge and the sky. And I was thinking, man, this is the last thing that you will see before you go and get a life sentence, or before you go and you never come home again. So who are your influences early on, as far as like anybody? Could be gangsters, could be movie stars, whatever.
Not true. None of that, man. I really wasn't into all that. I just was like neighborhood, you know. Growing up, honestly, it was like, you know, you hear tough guys in the neighborhood, and more or less it happened more. So I started out in juvie and then went to adult. So I was hearing a lot and it's crazy because like caseworkers and stuff would tell me about the older guys from the neighborhood and what they were doing and how they were trying to get straight you know.
Yep.
But to me it was like, oh yeah, you know, like them were the cool kids, and I wanted to be, you know, more or less like I wanted that, you know. And it was kind of crazy because they were trying to say stuff like that to scare me away from it, and in a little bit I was pushed towards it because it was the way they were talking about them was kind of glorifying it to me. You know what I mean?
Absolutely, bro. I know exactly what you mean.
Yeah, you know, you hear the stories. You know how when you're in prison, everybody tells the stories about, oh man, you should have seen this dude did this, and he knocked this dude, and them are the stories that I was like trying to be. You know, that's who I wanted to be. You know.
You know, we could go right into the next question with that one. So let's talk about the rep you built on the inside and like what being solid means to you in prison.
I remember I just wrapped up out of juvie, and I was like 17, and remember I went to county, and it was like my first. I literally was still committed to DYS, and they just bounded me over to adult. So I went from juvie to adult, and they put me in the county. And now, so all them guys that I'm telling you that were I hearing stories about, like I'm actually in the county with them, you know. It's funny because they put me in FA, I believe it was in Dartmouth, and I'm literally just coming in, and I'm here. I'm not lying to you. So I'll tell you a story. I come in the prison, and I move in the cell and now there's Fall River guys, you know. So I move in with Fall River guys, and they were like older guys. Timmy, I forget his last name. Bowden. He's one of the good friends. He killed himself. Good kid. But then, like, there's a bunch of dudes from. Well, come to find out, I come in on a Friday, and I'm locked down for the weekend. And you know how there's something going on in prison. You feel it, you know. So I felt like there was an issue going on, but they weren't talking to me. Like they were, you know, I'm still need to be tested, so they don't know who I am, you know.
Right.
Long story short, come Monday, and it was a FA was like a rec yard. It was just a little yard. There was no, you know, it was like a lockdown block. It was before you go to population. So we go to the yard, and I'm out in the yard just dribbling a little ball, playing ball, you know, and not realizing I, you know, just happened to look up, and half of the block was on one side of the yard, and the other half of the block was on the other side of the yard. And then all of a sudden, this kid starts screaming and yelling and talking junk to the guys that are on the other side of the yard. But I don't know. Like, I knew these, like, introduced to him, but I don't really know him. But the guy he's from New Bedford, and he's like a big dude, and he's like talking junk. And well, he says, "You effing Fall River guys." They're all sitting there and they're saying nothing. I don't really know him, so I turn and I'm like, wait a second, I'm from Fall River.
Right,
you know?
right.
So I'm like, what's up? Who you talking to? And so I got a ball in my hand. And dude's like, what? And he starts, who you talking? I'm like, what's up, bro? So he knuckled up. I threw the ball at him. Long story short, after 2-3 punches, he was on the floor. And that was how I got introduced to adult prison.
Right.
And from that point on, it was like, the funny thing is, then I go in the cell, and all the guys that were sketched out and were worried about me, now I'm worried about them. Because, like, this dude was just out there calling all you guys on, and I'm a little 17-year-old kid.
Right.
Why am I fighting him? You know, he's like 40 years old, you know?
Right.
But, so, yeah, and that's how it all really started. And then that name really just, it's, you know, but really, it was just, the guy came and he was calling out anybody, and I just happened to be there, you know?
Right, you answered it, bro. Like, that's how you felt you had to be from such a young age.
Yeah,
like.
And the crazy thing is I'm like, I wasn't even expecting it, but now from that, it just blew up.
This call is from a federal prison.
So let me ask
you.
Oh.
My neighborhood, that was normal. Like, if somebody runs them out, you just fight, you know, just who cares, you know, kill each other, you know?
Absolutely. Besides that, what was one of the most intense situations that you ever found yourself in prison? Like, be specific, like in segregation, stabbings, whatever it is.
Well, there was a bunch, man.
What about Sean Hart?
Sean Hart was just, Sean's a good kid, and I don't ever want to talk bad about him. He's a good kid, you know. He's still, I consider him a friend still.
Mm-hmm.
And we were drinking and had a falling out, you know.
Right.
And he pulled out a knife. So I mean, once all right, well, what's up? Then I'm like, you know, and then he starts stabbing me. So I started punching him, and then finally he hit me in the lung, and I kind of like stepped out the cell, and he's all messed up. He's like, enough. And I'm like, nah, bro, you stabbed me. So I ran, and that's when I knocked him out. And then after that, you know, after a couple hours of jumping on him, I went and took a shower and locked in. But yeah, but the thing about that was, it was just like a spur of the moment. That really wasn't that intense, you know. More or less, the things that were intense were like the things that like situations. I've been in situations where I didn't think I was gonna make it to a day, you know.
Yeah, talk about it.
Well, I really don't want to get into a lot of it, but because of, you know, the people involved, you know, there's a lot of people that's serious. But I mean, Walpole at that time was serious, you know.
Right.
At that point, and there was things going on that were, you know, murderers were trying. If they would have got me at any point, they would have killed me. And I mean, so I had to turn that on too. So once it became that, it was like, fight or kill to be killed, you know. So it was like that's what really put. Now I could fight already, and now I'm have that fear of somebody's gonna try to kill me. So I'm gonna try to get you first, you know. So that's really what it was.
Wow. How did you navigate the politics behind the wall without like folding or becoming a puppet or something like that? Like, how did you do it?
Well, the thing about it is, right, I had a different narrative of what life was supposed to be and who I was, you know, what I want. Like, that's why you strip away all that stuff now. And I say this because I don't even talk about that because of who I am today. I could see who I was. I was crowded by a lot of bad information and drugs and, you know, bad habits and stuff. It crowded who I was. I always had good character. Like, I was always honorable, man of my word. You know that. You know what I'm saying?
Yep, absolutely.
So when that stuff crowded that, so that life made that a little bit more intense. But I always had that good character in me. What was the question again?
Just how did you navigate the politics behind the wall without folding?
So with the politics though, I mean, as long as you have them character, you could navigate the politics easier, you know. And you and I both know it was a popularity contest in a lot of situations. You know what I mean? If you had the friends, you had the popular vote, you know. Which is unfortunate, and that's something I had to figure out late in life. You know, I didn't figure it out till later how warped the situation is and manipulative in order to benefit the person, whoever's got the manipulation. You know what I mean?
Right.
So the politics really, I mean, if you're doing the right thing and you're standing on your word and being a man of your word, you really ain't gonna navigating it's easy. You know what I mean?
Right.
The person that's got something to worry about, that's the person that's got to worry.
Right.
You know?
Like dirty motherfuckers. Yep.
Yeah, you know, if you told you're a piece of crap, that's the one who's got to worry. So that's why a lot of the situations that I was in, I never really had them fears because I never really had to stress any of them other things, you know? Like, where I was raised in my neighborhood and stuff, there's certain things we were raised not to do. So a lot of these things that these kids, they did, you know, we just knew better, you know what I mean?
Absolutely. So, did you ever feel like the weight of paranoia or betrayal from the people who you felt were solid to you?
Of course, you know that. When I ended up in that situation, you know what I mean? When I gave my life to Christ in Max, and then I realized the life I was living, I felt the pressure around me, like the people turned on me, you know? People that I thought were close to me, the people that I thought were my friends, were looking at me sideways like I did something like outside of myself. And now that I look at it, I can see there was a good thing in it. You know, if the pressure was builds pipes, you know, pressure builds diamonds. You know what I mean? Blows pipes or builds diamonds. So like, it kind of made me who I am today. In order to I can appreciate a little more, because to be honest with you, the people that said they were your friend and didn't agree or help you in your change, they're not really friends, man. And that's something I really had to get, you know, really to understand, you know?
Yes. Yep, I do. So, how did you maintain your principles while surrounded by the manipulation and the violence?
Well, the principal thing, like I said, it's in somebody or it ain't. Character is just who you are, you know? There's certain, like, if you either have the character or not. If you're a piece of phone's gonna hang up, I'll call back. If you're a piece of crap, then you're a piece of crap. Always. If you're not, then you know you're not.
Right,
you know
right. So when you were in Walpole, did you were in the middle of the Southie Boyle thing? Were you there when that was going on? Can you just explain a little bit about what was going on during that time?
Hanging out with the Charlestown kids, Soder and all them guys. They were good kids, and Sparky and all my friends. They were good, my friends. So we were all just, we were good crew of guys. There was a bunch of beefs going on between, Getting Tight and all that crews. You know, remember? Well, so like white dudes were getting jumped on as soon as they come out the shoe or DU, or like, you had to be careful because like they was like them black dudes were serious and they were coming at DU and they was trying to hurt people. We seen a lot of the people that were around us weren't really about nothing, man. So a lot of it was like posing, so we got a crew of guys, a crew of friends that were good dudes that that we knew had our back if something happened. So we all hung out. So we accepted, like, we just like, listen, if something goes down, you know we're there.
This call is from a federal prison.
That's kind of like how it started. Like, we were just all hanging out, And then, long story short, I was still on the fence if I was really gonna get into it. But I was at Soda's house one day, and we're drinking, and this kid from Southie was there, and started getting crazy with Soda and the other kid, and they're from Charlestown, and I was just baffled, like they were letting him talk to him crazy. So in the middle of the conversation, he turned and said something to me, and I said, "What?" And then as soon as I said "what," he was waiting, and he stuck it, and he punched me in the face, which he got me pretty good, and it kind of like threw me off. And so I started like getting up and trying to fight with him, but so when that happened, Stoller and the other dude jumped in and they started stabbing him.
Wow.
So, but he was from Southie. So now, because we were all made that commitment to each other and stuff like that, so now then Southie dudes had beef with them guys, which invited me and the friends that I had, which we were all Boyles, at the time. So because Brooksy and the kids from Quincy and all that, we all got involved because of the commitment we had to each other with them. And that's when stuff happened with my boy Joey and Sparky jumped on, the other kid. You remember? So like because of that agreement we had, it started because of the kid was getting crazy in the cell with somebody.
And that's how the whole thing started, just from that incident? Wow.
Yeah, and much, but what happened really was the dude after that happened, and Sparky and Joey did their thing. Like it was really dead for a while. Like they didn't want nothing. But then Ricky Costa and all them kids, then all them dudes got out of, they started throwing flames in it.
Yeah.
And I already didn't like Ricky, so I was just hey, whatever, dude. So but he was trying to like manipulate my homies, the Four River guys, to try to get me out of it, and was trying to put me on, But I was telling them, nah, man. If they go, I go. You don't want to go with me. See, you can get it too,
Right.
So like, but yeah, that's what happened. But and that just started it, honestly. But there really wasn't like, there's a couple of little fights here and there from it, but the real damage was what Sparky and Joey did in
the laundry room. Yeah.
No, it wasn't in the laundry room. It was in the pool room. They thought he beat him with pool tables, but he really didn't. Really didn't.
Shit. Yeah, I thought they got him in the pool, on the laundry room or something. I heard a different story. That's crazy, huh?
Yeah, but they didn't do what they said they did. They said they did all these things. They just wiped them down. They were two tough kids and they beat them up. But like they said they beat them up with pool sticks, pool tables, pool balls, and all this stuff, but that really wasn't true.
Yeah. So what was the like? How did it go from there? Did everybody get sent to the
Well,
max?
you know how it goes.
Yeah.
Everything starts to get, there's the propaganda starts to happen. People start, South, and then all these things start going on, people talking. But in all actuality, a lot of them kids on the other side would we end up in the shoe and they'd all send us food in the max. Remember?
Yo, yeah, absolutely.
Like, like they would all send, like they were all cool and they would all send us messages like, "Oh, we don't want no issues," and I understand this.
Yeah.
But then we would hear stories of them running their mouth behind our back, saying all these kinds of crazy things, So it was like it was more or less just it was talk, After that.
I felt like it was certain crew of people that were instigating, like certain dudes instigated the whole thing, like on each side, kind of, and everybody else kind of just, had to ride out and shit. That's their people, their loyalties. Let me ask you a little bit about what you plan on doing with your future and kind of what you're doing now inside there to like better your life.
So now I don't make decisions out of who I'm supposed to be. I make decisions on who I want to be. And I don't allow people to manipulate me, or fear, or self-esteem, all these things to manipulate me to be the person that I should be, or what people want, who people, so I don't do that no more. You know what I mean? And it comes with age too, so, but honestly, like I said, I got to give more credit to what the fear of God and the fear of one day, standing before him. So every day now I have to make an effort in the choice to be a better person and, try to be a person that one day I can say, well, yeah, I was that dude here, but I understood and made a choice to do differently later on, And every day now consciously I make decisions, and when I make mistakes or fall or do these things, I make sure I correct them and learn from them. You know what I mean? But now I've learned that making mistakes is part of who we are. The way we're raised, like the person that we are, the person is because of the mistakes we made. You learn from them. So like a lot of the things that I've done and the bad mistakes and situations I've been in, it's taught me to be a better person.
Absolutely.
Believe it or not, because like I'm not afraid anymore. Like you put me in the middle of anything, and nothing's could ever bring me to fear because I've been worse. You know what I mean?
Absolutely, bro.
So like, you can throw me in the middle of a concert on a stage in front of millions of people, and I still won't be afraid because you know what? I've been in situations where 5 people want to take your life and they all got knives and they're trying to kill you.
Yeah.
So like, the phone's gonna hang up again, Manny.
All right, man. Well, I really appreciate you calling in today, Jason, man. I love you, and I'm glad to hear that you're doing good, bro. And I'm gonna edit this up, and I might go to your city and get some footage out there to add. We're gonna be heading up here to the Battleship and going inside and show you guys what it looks like in Fall River. Everybody wants to come to the Battleship Cove. This is what you hear about from the Fall River kids, like Battleship Cove. There was this story about this police officer who was chasing one of the kids from Fall River, a local kid, and he jumped over the train tracks. This story I've heard in the Max many times, right? The guy was chasing after the alleged suspect. He jumped over the railroad tracks, but on the other side of the railroad tracks, it drops down very far, and the cop ended up dying. So there was this big, there was a funeral for a cop, and it went all through the city like that, every police officer there. But let's go check this out and see what's going on over here. Oh, they got the Korean War. This is all the wars that the boat was involved in. The Forgotten War, the Jungle War, the Desert War, the Infamous Day, and the Good War. It's kind of cool, and you could scan these to see what it did in those wars. I've never been on this boat before, but I guess we're gonna get a good look at what it looks like inside. So come on, let's check this out. Fall River's own Battleship Cove. This is the Braga Bridge. It goes right up over it. Look at that. It's kind of impressive if you ask me, actually. Let's go! It's pretty cool, Fall River, man. Look at it, if I was in the war, this is what I'd be going in. I'd be like, let's go, we gotta drop the bombs in Hiroshima, man. Wow, look at this. Let's go down here. Entrance to the B4 aft engine room. This is like basically, these are the bunks that they would sleep in. Look at this. This is so crazy because it's like, just being in prison, man. You sleep on bunks, but they're not this close. I can only imagine being stuffed inside one of these little, like, dude, there's 1, 2, 3, fucking 3 each one. So 3, 6. There's gotta be at least 50, 60 guys in this one little room.
Yeah.
And they're all sleeping within a foot of each other. You know what I mean? Waking up in the morning, everybody's running upstairs, getting ready for the day, dude. Like, imagine, where do they even sit? Like, they would have to lay down fully every time they're in their bunks and in their thing. And then there's this little table here. It's like a card table where they could sit down and play poker. Imagine a bunch of sailors, you know what I mean? Like, in the middle of the desert war playing poker. Like, that shit's cool. Like, imagine being down here where they're cruising around looking for targets. Like, oh, we got a battleship on the horizon, man. We got to blow it up. Like, let's go. Fuck the poker. Drinking Jack Daniels down here like a real sailor. What? Look at this, guys. This is cool. Look at these pictures, man. I'm so glad I came down here. See, these are the things that you can't enjoy while you're in prison. These are all the experiences you will never have if you make that decision to do one stupid thing that could cost you for the rest of your life. And while we're sitting out here doing this, and I got to interview my friend Boo Boo from prison, he's currently sitting in a federal prison while we're out here making this video about him. But the thing is that he's already found God. He already regrets his decision. Maybe if he doesn't regret it, he at least looks at it like a learning experience, and he's never going back to do those things again. So if you can learn anything from anybody, especially somebody like him, a gladiator, or somebody like me, who really has been fighting our whole lives, who really has done the crazy time and really did do all that, was living like that behind the wall, active in the gang life, doing whatever. And now, after going back and facing all that time and sitting in a federal correctional institution, he knows that's not the way to live. He knows that wasn't what was meant for him. Like, and now he's changing it all around because he sees that this isn't the way to live. Like, this isn't what I should be doing. Like, it is such a waste of life. But if you had asked him when he was out there robbing those banks and doing all that, he'd say, I have no choice. I'm addicted. I got to do this. But you don't have to do it. There's always options, but I'll tell you what, there isn't an option. Once those handcuffs come on, the only 2 options are rat or go to prison. And you know what we're doing? We're going to prison. You know what I mean? So it's like, we don't get the get out of jail free pass. So if you ain't ready to do the time, don't do the crime.
Suboxone, thank you.
Nice,
yeah,
nice.
I appreciate it.
So I'm getting off methadone myself. And
Oh,
I'm going to switch
wow.
over, but I'm going to go off of that too.
Yeah,
So,
definitely.
yeah.
Congratulations. It's really hard. It's hard to get off of it.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
What were you addicted to?
There's been a few things. So I'm actually off of benzodiazepines for 6 years.
Okay.
I just hit that mark about 10 days after my birthday. So that I've never gone back to. I was doing, oxys for a while.
Right.
Once the fentanyl epidemic, first started coming out, it was very scary.
Right.
I saw a lot of my friends, even the ones that didn't pass, luckily, it was worse than just a normal overdose.
Oh, yeah, I know. The dope was, I feel like heroin was almost better.
That's what I'm
better,
saying. Yeah, unfortunately, to say it like that, it's crazy.
And were you using before the fentanyls?
I was,
Yeah.
yes. I was using and everything. It was kind of just like, I was in denial that I had a problem because it didn't get to the point where I had hit rock bottom.
Right.
And then once the fentanyl started coming out, my fiance, who is actually clean with me now, same day we got clean, he fell into it really bad.
Right.
And watching the reactions and the lifelong things that have came from it, health issues, it was time to stop.
Absolutely.
It was time, it was a slow roll, but I had never gotten into the fentanyl perks.
Right.
Yeah.
And how long did you say you lived out here for? A few years?
Yeah, about 3 years, yeah.
And in your perspective, in your point of view, what's the addiction crisis like here compared to Taunton?
Wow. It's actually insane to
Really?
me. Yeah. It's a bigger city, so it's more common. I do believe with a lot of the political things that have happened throughout the years, the corruption, I wouldn't be surprised that that has a huge effect, especially because just in the government and anything in general, that's usually where it comes from.
Yeah, you
even
got
though
the
people
mayor
want to
on.
deny it, that's usually where it comes from.
You got the mayor on the news all the time. Like, what about that?
Goodness
The mayor
gracious.
of Fall River, like,
It's nuts. It was
Hemmed up.
it was interesting to first move out here, and then once you get addicted to the lay of the land, the way that people are, it's a huge misconception, not about what goes on here, but how scary it is to live out here.
Yeah.
You know, you are walking amongst severe addicts, and to a lot of people that don't experience addiction firsthand, it can look scary.
Yeah, definitely.
It looks like almost zombified, especially
Absolutely.
when it's in the public. So, you know, over on Plymouth Ave, I actually work at Applebee's. You run into a lot of people over in that area, but they are amazing, kind people,
Right.
a lot of them.
what? Look at this shit, dude. These are old Army helicopters. Like, imagine if they would give me one of these, I'd blow some fucking shit up. You know what I mean? Look at this, dude. TCB, the Combat Battalion. I'm just making that up. I have no idea what the fuck it stands for. United States Army. ACCW2RJ Monet. This looks like a freaking one of those Black Hawks, bro. Like a Black Hawk? A Black Hawk? Oh, it's just the tip of the Black Hawk. What? What'd I just say? It's the tip of the Black Hawk, I said. Look at this right here. Look at this. How many jets they think, how many of those things do you think are flying at you at one time? Be like one after the other. And then you'd have like a bunch of bombs blowing up right in your face. Look at these things. They just let these things off. Can you imagine that? Woo! Badass. The Saber 20, man. Look at that. It looks like it got into an accident or something. Like that thing's broken. You see how the end, it looks like it's broken right off. Like it must have crashed. What? Yeah, pretty dope. I'm glad we came here, guys.